Hey guys, welcome back to the garage today. Today we're just going to do a short video on how to cut a chain, and then we're going to also show you how to rivet it. So we just put these sprockets on. I'm not going to bore you guys with that part, but I am going to show you just how to cut the chain and make it the correct length, because most chains come in a 120 link. So usually you can see like right there, most chains will come in a 120 link. Occasionally you'll get them cut to fit, but when you have a 120 link and the bike takes less, you're going to have to cut the chain down to get it to fit right. So a couple key things with this. We use a grinder to grind the pin out. You can just use the chain cutting tool to push that pin out, but it seems like it makes it a little easier if you grind the head off. So I'll have the link for this below. If you have a grinder, it makes it a lot easier. So the only things that we have here is a 14 open end, 14 socket, and a 10 and a 12 to adjust the adjusters. So if you can see on the adjusters, we have them all the way in on both sides. So that way the tire is all the way forward right now. So this is where we're gonna set our measurement on which link to cut. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna pull your chain up and you're gonna just set it in there and try to get it as tight as you can. And then what we're going to do is figure out which link we need to cut it on. Now, if you notice here, you have an inner link and an outer link and an inner link. So you're going to need two inner links to attach it. So this is where you'd be able to put the master link. So when you're cutting your chain, you wouldn't want to cut this pin out because you're not going to be able to attach the master link to this part and this part. So you really need to be cautious so you don't ruin a chain or cut it too short, which link you are. So we're going to measure on this one and see where the best fit is. And now if you see right now, we're actually in the middle of where we need to be. This would be an outer link that these match up on. This is as tight as I can get it by hand. We're about as far forward as we can get the as we can get the wheel. So what we're going to have to do is we're actually going to just have to back it off one link. So that's where we're going to cut it. So if you notice, we are on an inner link right here, and that's where we're going to cut it. So that's our mark. And if you can tell, we have a ton of slack here. This will all come out when we back the wheel off. So what we're going to do is we can just take a marker. I usually don't do this because I usually just know which one it is. But for us right now, we're going to mark the pin that we're going to pull out with orange. So we know that's the link that needs to pop out. So next, what we're going to do is put on some eye protection. Don't ask me how I know why it's better to wear eye protection, but you don't want to go to the eye doctor because you get a piece of metal in your eye. So now that we know which link we're going to cut, what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of hold it onto here. And what we'll do is we'll get away from his nice fancy nuts. And what we're going to do is we're just going to use our grinder, and we're just going to grind away this part, the head of the rivet here. So we're just going to start like this. All right, so that's it. It only takes a second to do that. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go into our chain breaker tool, and what we're going to do is we're going to find our pin. This one's a little crooked because we've used it about 100 times already, so it'll still work. So what we're going to do is we are going to pull out the inner part. We're going to back this up just a little bit so it'll fit over the chain, and we'll drop our pin down there, and then we're going to put the push part back in. And to make it a little easier, you can put the handle on. This will give you a little bit of leverage on it. And the next thing we're going to do is we are going to just squeeze it onto the chain here. And we're going to use our DeWalt impact like we always do. And we're just going to go ahead and knock it through. So once it bottoms out, you can pull it out, and that should have pulled the link all the way out. Pull this out a little bit further. Perfect. And you can see it push the link all the way through. This is a 530 chain, so it sometimes will stay in there, but it'll still come off. So now that we got that cut, throw that in the trash, and we will line up our two links. So now that we've got our two links lined up, what we're going to do is we're going to go over here to our master link that's in the package. And if I can get this open with greasy hands. There we go. So the packet is going to come with your master link, 4 new O-rings, or X-rings in this case, some grease, and your press plate. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take 2 new O-rings, and we're going to put them onto the master link. Then we're going to take some grease, and we're going to put some grease on the O-rings, and we're just going to wipe it in there like this, and then we're going to slide it through. So now that we got that put in there, we're going to take our other 2 O-rings, and we're going to slide them on. Like that. And then we're going to put a little bit more grease in there. All right, great. So now we're going to make the lettering face outward. So if you have lettering on there, always make it face outward. And we're just going to set that on there. You're not going to be able to push it on there. You're going to need the tool to do that. So for this part, what we're going to do is we are going to just back this out, pull our push pin. Now for this, you don't need a pin, but what you do need is anvil, the backer. So we're going to stick our anvil in here, and we are going to put this on the back, and we're going to go ahead and use our impact. And we're just going to work it down. We're going to do each side a little bit. And then so that you make sure you're not squeezing it too much, what I like to use is a caliper. And what we'll do is we're going to just take a measurement of a length. And we have 21.9. And we're going to measure the length that we just did. And they're just about the same. Excuse me, 20.9. And this is 21.38. So we're going to squeeze it just a little bit more. Double check it one more time. Perfect. Perfect. So now that we've got that taken care of, the one thing I like to do also is I like to measure how big the rivet link is. So I'll measure it so that I know that I flare it out enough when I'm flaring it. So this is 5.20. So, and this one is 5.3. So a little bit different measurements on each one. But we're going to make sure that we get those flared out enough so that they don't come back out. So 5.25. So for the flare, what you're going to use is you're going to use this tool. It's got a rounded tip. So just like when we did the push pin, we're going to just drop it in here. But on this time, we're going to use the anvil again so we don't push the link through. So we're going to take this. And we're going to go ahead and squeeze it down. And on this time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually use a 14, and I'm going to hold it so we don't squeeze the link any tighter. So now we're just going to impact it in, back it off, and then we're going to go down and do the other one. We lost our handle. All right, so now that we did that, now we're just going to go and we're going to check our flare on here. So we're going to just check to make sure. You usually want to try to get about 0.4 of a millimeter. So this is only 5.37 now, and this one's only 5.30. So that means we just need to go back in and we need to do it again. And I think our battery's dead on this, so I'm going to just swap the battery right here. And we're going to go back in and we're going to do it one more time. So this looks pretty good. We're going to try it one more time here just to make sure. And you can do this visually. You don't necessarily need to measure, but this one's at 5.5, which is plenty enough that they're riveted out. We went up 0.4 on that one. So if you get in here close, you can see that they're flared out enough that the master link isn't going to pop back off. So that's it on putting the master link and cutting the chain. Now all we need to do is just adjust our chain. So to adjust it, all you're going to do is you're going to use your 10 millimeter and your 12. We already loosened these nuts because we had to take the wheel off to do the sprockets. But then we're just going to bring the adjuster back. And whatever we do on this side, you're going to want to do on the other side. So if you look at the notches right here, you've got a series of notches. You're going to just want to make sure the back of the block lines up with the notch on here, same on the other side. So whether you're 1, 2, 3, 4 back on this one, you want to be 4 back on the other side. So what we're going to do is we're going to just adjust this really quick, and we will tighten up the axle. But before we do that, let's pull it down off the lift. So we're going to pull the spool stand out, and we're going to start pulling the wheel back. Now, if you see, some bikes will actually show you how much free play you need on the swing arm. Some people pull them off, other people leave them, but for most bikes, you're going to see a measurement. So this one's 30 millimeters. Now, if you look at the diagram, it wants you to check it on the lower part of the chain in the middle of the chain. So right now, obviously, we have way more than 30 millimeters. So what we're going to do is we are just going to start backing it up until we get to that 30 millimeters of play. So we'll just keep going here. So we're getting close to the 30 millimeters here. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to the other side, and right now we're at the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're at the 6th mark. So we're going to bring the other side to the 6th mark also. And we're getting close to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're getting close to the 5th mark. And our chain's starting to get tight on the other side. So what we're going to do is we're going to just go to the 5th mark for here, because our chain's tight on the other side. And then we're going to bring this one back in until we start to get that 30 millimeters of slack. And that right there is about 30 millimeters. So right now we're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5. So now we're just going to bring out the other side to match it. And check our slack again. We'll go back to the other side and check it one more time. And that looks pretty good to me. So now we're at 5.5 roughly on both sides. And we'll go ahead and we'll tighten up our lock nuts. So just snug these up. These don't need to be overly tight. They strip really easy. So just snug those in. And we're going to just double check our measurement one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're a little closer to the 6th mark on there. So we'll just match this up with that. So now that they're even on both sides, will tighten down the lock nut. So last thing to do is we're just going to tighten up the axle to torque value, and that's pretty much it. So we learned how to cut the chain today, and we learned how to put in a rivet link and then adjust your chain. Thanks for watching the video, guys. Really appreciate it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, check out our website. If you need anything, shoot me a message, and we'll see you guys on the next video. Thanks.